Sweet. And welcome back, everybody, to another edition of the 2-Point Conversion MLB or NFL DFS podcast. Yes, it's Monday. I just got home like 4 hours ago. Previewing the Thanksgiving 3-game slate. You can find me on Twitter at BDNTrick. You got Bucks on Twitter at BPSnow11. Bucks, how are we doing this Monday?
Doing awesome. It's a little interesting to be doing an NFL podcast on Monday, but it's for good reason this week.
Very good reason. Very good. And as always, our third member, we have James. You can find him at paydirt_DFS. James, how we doing?
Man, I'm doing great. Podcasting from my computer today for the first time. So if it sucks, then blame that and not us.
We'll blame technology. It's always the answer. I'm with you there. All right, real quick, because it's just a 3-game slate, as everybody knows, typical Thanksgiving stuff. Go quickly around the horn on maybe some different strategies to put in play. Bucks, when you're approaching a 3-game slate like this, what do you look to do?
I am typically playing some not as large GPPs because I really want to mix things up. Last year, I threw in a couple two running back, same team sets, a couple like stacking of tight ends in the same game. Don't be afraid to try out some different things that you typically wouldn't in a normal 12 to 14 game slate. Just because you have, I think DraftKings has a $20 with like 100,000 entries or something like that. So with 3 games, you're going to have to do something where you have a couple guys that are like 1% owned to have a shot. So don't be afraid to mix it up and do something a little crazy this week.
Yeah, no doubt about it. What about you, James?
I always think that when you play a short slate, you kind of got to get weird. And the Thanksgiving slate is no different. If you're playing a 2-game slate, there's basically 2 ways to look at this. So when you play a short slate, you can either play the chalk and run for min cash equity and like just aim for just min cashing every lineup that you make, which I think is a fine strategy in itself if you're just going for like consistent cash. But if you want the ROI, if you want the win, you got to be weird, and you got to play some things that don't make sense. Like one of my favorite things is to play running back against the opposing defense. It doesn't happen very often. People just kind of fade away from that and don't do it. Or even a defense against a passing quarterback. You saw a couple weeks ago with the Denver Broncos defense when I touted them so heavy, they got obliterated, but still put up 7 fantasy points because they had a defensive touchdown. And paid off value. So you kind of got to be weird and break a couple rules. And those are just ways to do it. You can take a player against your defense. You can take a stack against your defense, and it's still fine.
Yeah, I think that's a great call. I try to stick to single entries, 3 maxes. But like you said, get really weird. Like you mentioned that Broncos game, I put Thomas in there against the Patriots defense. Thomas got like 16 points. Patriots defense did fine. Everyone survives. You know, if you're paying down for a defense, we talked about it many times, get 5, 6, 7 points. The offense goes off, they go off. You're looking for turnovers and everything. So there's ways to build around it, because most people think it's like the Cardinals saying you can't possibly play anybody versus a defense. So that's a good point there. And then you just get weird elsewhere, like we mentioned, 2 running backs, so on and so forth. So let's get into this massive 3-game slate we have here to talk about. First game of the day, as always, Minnesota at Detroit. At Detroit, currently 2.5-point home dogs, 44.5. It's going to move a few bits before Thursday gets in. But Bucks, where are you looking at this on this one?
Yeah, I think again, it's a 3-game slate, so everybody's kind of in play. I mean, you just have to find the right pieces. But Case Keenum being $5,300 is really solid against this defense, especially when you consider how good Thielen has been. And Stephon Diggs is obviously a beast. Then you have Kyle Rudolph. So I really like Keenum at $5,300. I think he'll be pretty chalky this week. But I guess everybody's going to be chalky in a 3-game slate.
Yeah.
So Stafford at $6K in a short slate seems like insane value. He did have a terrible game against them this year already, so keep that in mind. But I think he bounces back. I mean, he has some weapons on that team. The running back situation is something that I am I'm not sure how I'm going to attack it, to be honest with you. I think I'm going to avoid it this game. I think McKinnon and Murray have both been good, and they have an awesome matchup, but it is a running back by committee. So as I mentioned in kind of like the playing the short slate, one of the things that I might do as a contrarian play in this short slate is double up and take both of the running backs in Minnesota. Because they are getting 36 carries a game between them, which is plenty. And I think that if they can catch a few balls, that they have a chance to both hit value. So neither of them are too expensive. You can definitely afford them. On the other side of the ball, the only play that I might have, just because I think that he has to normalize a little bit in this game, is going to be Riddick. He has not been utilized the way he should this year yet. But I typically like playing him. If he can catch 4 to 5 balls this game, he's going to hit value. And then receivers, you have Diggs and Jones. Obviously, Thielen is Thielen. He has been a freaking monster lately. Good God. But Diggs is, $6,300 or something like that, which is just insane value. 63. I mean, at some point in time, he's going to have one of those 8 catches for 100 plus and 2 TDs again. And so it could be this game, but I love both of them. Thielen's usage is insane, but he's just $1,000 more than Diggs. If you can squeeze him in, do it. But it is what it is. And then the last person I'll mention in this game is Ebron. He has dropped a ton of balls this year, but he has started getting targets again. And I believe last year he went off in this game. So I'd expect him to see quite a few targets. He just needs to catch them, and I think he hits value.
Yeah, no doubt about it. What are you looking at here, James?
Thielen has been very, very consistent this year. I think he's the only wide receiver all year that has 5 catches in every game, which is great. And Detroit is weaker against the slot wide receivers as well. But I do think that less people will be on Diggs. There's that narrative that Darius Slay is a shutdown corner and that Diggs is not like the number one in that offense anymore. And although both of those do have some merit, like I do think Darius Slay shouldn't be messed with on a regular basis. When you play a 3-game slate like this, if I can get the higher upside wide receiver and Stephon Diggs at lower ownership on a short slate, I'm all about that. At 6,300, I think that he's probably appropriately priced for his role in the offense at this point. Minnesota's weak in the slot, and Golden Tate plays a lot out of the slot. He has not been the number one guy in the offense. Him and Marvin Jones have been a good combo, but Marvin Jones has gotten more attention this year, so I think that Golden Tate is an interesting option as well. And you can take Diggs and Tate at basically the same price and have plenty of upside in that matchup. Quarterback, Stafford only 6K, Case Keenum only 5,300. Both quarterbacks probably underpriced in this matchup. Like, I know that Minnesota's defense is good, and I know that Detroit's defense has been better than people thought that it would be, but I think that both of them are underpriced. This game could easily go over 50 points. It wouldn't shock me at all for both teams to put up 24 or 27 points. So we do need to watch whether Teddy Bridgewater is going to come back, though. I know that he hasn't had any inclination to do so, but just watch up until, because this is going to be like a main stage game, and it would make sense, like from a feel-good standpoint, I guess, for Bridgewater to take back over the helm on national television in this game. Just watch for that. I think that he would be a phenomenal play this week as well at only 5K. And then tight ends, I don't really want any tight end in this game. I know that Ebron has started to come alive a little bit more, but we still have... Good God. What was that?
Like puppy.
Is that a dinosaur?
Yeah,
that was a velociraptor. That was terrifying. Okay, well, the Tyrannosaurus Rex in Bubba's house does not like any of the tight ends in this game either, so I'm just going to skip over the rest. The defenses, Vikings 3,300, Lions 2,700. I don't really have any interest there. The only interest that I have in this is wide receivers. I like Diggs, I like Tate, I like Thielen, and the quarterbacks are fine. They're both mispriced.
Yeah, I'm with you guys on the quarterbacks. I like Stafford a lot, especially at home. And the last been locked in, and I saw a stat watching the game yesterday. He's one of the top 2 or 3 quarterbacks in the league in the last 5 weeks. So he's definitely getting it done consistently. I like the idea, like you mentioned, Bucks playing McKinnon and Murray together. That's a good way to be different. Abdullah at 3,900. I know we hate him, and I like Riddick. And I like the angle. But on a slate small like this at 3,900, Abdullah's been getting the touches, double digits, almost 12 or more points in 3 straight. So he's getting usage in the pass, very little in the passing. He's getting the running game and getting the goal line carries. The spot I look at besides the receiver, which you guys all hit on, I do like the Detroit defense at 2,700. I think people are going to flock to the one in the next game at 2,800, which I don't mind either. So Detroit as a pivot at 27, and even if you want to put some Minnesota against it, I don't mind it at all. I think that's an option to definitely look at. The Detroit defense has played really, really well this year as a whole. I know it's just one game. It was 14-7 the first time these guys met. But what the heck right here? They got 12 DraftKings points against them. They double-digit in over half of their games this year, and we all know they don't just not give up points. So good fantasy defense at that price tag. Let's look at the Chargers at the struggling Dallas Cowboys. Cowboys is currently at pick'em. I think they're waiting for some more info. Total at 48. James, kick us off in Dallas.
This game should not be a pick'em. That's hilarious. No, this should be the Chargers. I know the Chargers are not a great team, but they should get like at least 3.5 against Dallas on the road here. Dallas cannot do anything. They're giving up over 6 yards per carry against running backs without Sean Lee in. They're giving up like 35 points per game without Sean Lee. They don't have Ezekiel Elliott. They don't have their starting left tackle. They have a banged up D-line. This game should not be a pick'em. Dallas wins this game outright, first off. Second off, any of the Chargers' offensive weapons are in play here. Philip Rivers at 6,100 is underpriced. He's been picking it up into the second half of the season. Keenan Allen just went absolutely ham-frickin' sandwich last week. 7,300 is underpriced against secondary that can't stop anything. At running back, Melvin Gordon, 8,100. People are like onto this Austin Eckler train, which look, man, Melvin Gordon carried the ball the entire first half last week against the Bills. And then they blew them out of the frickin' water, and then Eckler started getting some touches, and then he got a touchdown, and people are like, oh, he's not a thing. Stop it. He's a backup running back that's going to be able to spell Gordon well, and he's an effective backup running back, but don't use him hoping for that touchdown, because he's got 3 touchdowns in 2 games. That's like, no, that's too much efficiency, and I just don't like that. I don't think that it's a good play on the slate, and I think people are going to go there, which is just odd. Melvin Gordon at 8,100 is a great play. I do think that he's going to garner the most ownership on this slate at running back. So if you want to fade that, I understand. It's a 3-game slate. Anybody is fadeable at this point. But I do think that he's the best play at running back on this slate by a pretty significant long shot. At tight end, Jason Witten at 4,400, Hunter Henry at 3,300. Both these teams have been good against tight ends. I don't really have interest there. This game I don't think is great for fantasy purposes. I do think that Philip Rivers, Keenan Allen, and Melvin Gordon are worth a roster. But I would just focus on the defenses. 2,800 for the Chargers is underpriced against a Dallas team that can't move the ball right now and can't protect Dak Prescott either. My main plays here are Melvin Gordon and the Chargers defense.
Yeah, I'll be quick with this one. Rivers at 61, like you said, very much in play. And that price tag there against what everybody saw happen to Dallas is why I think Stafford might get lower owned than he should be. And that's how I like the pivot there. But Rivers, Gordon, Allen, all phenomenal plays. But yeah, the Chargers defense should be the chalk of the day, and it's a great price tag at $2,800. Their pass rush is just fierce, and we've seen how no one can stop Dak from falling over these days. So it's just a sack machine. And if you want to go anywhere with Dallas, I don't mind Alf Morris because they're having to pound the rock right now. Other than that, I want nothing to do with the Dallas offense. So mainly those 4 plays with the Chargers, unless you want to get real weird. But I'll get weird elsewhere. What do you got on this one, Bucks?
Yeah, I mean, you guys touched on a lot of it. The couple things I'll mention. One, I fully expect Gordon to be the highest end running back, but I also expect Alf to be there as well. I think the Alf Gordon stack is going to be massive, and I think for good reason. The Chargers are giving up 135 yards a game to the running back, and Alf got the large majority of carries. He actually looked good last week, and I think that if they can keep it close, they're going to try to pound the rock and pound the rock and pound the rock. So at $4,800, I love Alf this week. Again, same thing with Gordon. I think he's been misused this year so far. I mean, especially the last few games, but either way. I mean, they gave him 20 carries last week. He hit value, so I love him a lot. I just think he should be catching more passes. I'm not a huge fan of either of the quarterbacks this game. I can see Phillip Rivers being serviceable, especially at that price tag. And then the one thing I'll mention is Dez. Dez has yet to have a 100-yard game this year, which is crazy.
He's yet to have He's yet to have a 100-yard game since Nam, dude. Like, he's not even that good of a wide receiver. He's just not.
You don't have to tell me, man. I hate the Cowboys, especially Dez Bryant.
Yeah, Dez Bryant's been garbage.
I'm just saying that if the Chargers come out and do what they can do this game, that they're going to have to throw the ball. And at $6,400, you could do worse, I think. But when you look at that price range, there's so many good options in that price range. It's crazy. Yeah. So I'm not sure how they warrant Dez being 64 and then Stephon Diggs and Golden Tate being 63 or right around there. But whatever. At some point in time, though, Dez is going to have a decent game sometime.
And what better time than Thanksgiving?
Yeah, I know. And
it happens every year.
If Travis Benjamin, I got to keep an eye on his health. If he is limited or doesn't play, I really like Mike Williams at $3,100. Dude's starting to get more targets, and he's a stud.
Yeah. I think that well. All right, let's go to the nightcap. New York Giants at the Washington Redskins. Redskins 7.5-point home favorites. Totals at 44. Bucks kick us off in Washington.
Yeah, this is like, I mean, golly, 8:30, like prime time. This game sucks, man. 2 garbage teams right now just duking it out for no good reason. I mean, I love Kirk Cousins. I don't know if I can play him at 7,100. The only reason I might is because at 7,100 being the highest priced quarterback, maybe he'll see some suppressed ownership. But everybody on that team is hurt. And so it's not like he has a ton of weapons. Thompson's out. Terrell Pryor's going to be out. Jordan Reed's out. So, but still, $7,100. You got to do some crazy stuff in the slate. So like a Thompson, Crowder, Dotson stack or something could definitely be serviceable against a garbage team in the Giants. Whoever is going to be on Eli Apple is who I'm going to go hard with the Redskins. And with Pryor out, I'm not sure if that's going to be Ryan Grant yet or potentially Dotson maybe. But I'll have to figure that out. But whoever's opposite Eli Apple is who I'm targeting for the Redskins. Eli Manning at 5,100 is, frankly, I think a decent play in this game. The Redskins are good against the pass typically, but this is a divisional game, and the Redskins just haven't been good, man. I think that you could do worse. I mean, he doesn't have anybody to throw to, but again, short slate, doing stupid stuff. That's the only reason I would play Eli Manning. With the running backs, I'm avoiding it. With the wide receivers, I told you the only big guy that I want is whoever's up against Eli Apple. And then I'm not sure if I'll go there because of his price, but Evan Ingram at 6,100 is super intriguing because the Redskins are terrible against the tight end, and Eli doesn't have anybody else to throw to.
Yeah, don't blame me at all there. James, what are you looking at in this one?
I love the Redskins on this slate so much. So much. I disagree, I think, with Bucks. I think that Kirk Cousins will be the highest owned quarterback on this slate. I think that as people move towards the slate, the Giants are a thing. Teams against the Giants are a thing. I don't think people are going to care that he's 7,100 on a short slate. I think they're just going to jam him in. What I don't think people will do is play Samaj Perine, and they should. Because that dude balled out without Chris Thompson there, man. 23 carries for 117 yards against New Orleans. He got the touchdown. He's got a finger issue in practice. I don't care. He'll be fine. And he's basically the only running back on that roster that doesn't have, like, a broken something. So at 5K, I think Perine – I think, honestly, the Giants are so bad. Like, people are going to look at how they did against the Chiefs, and the Chiefs didn't score any touchdowns against them, and they're just going to be like, oh, no, this Giants team is turning around. No, dude, Giants suck so bad.
The Chiefs are that bad.
So bad. Yeah, the Chiefs are bad too, and have been playing over their heads all year. They've just been living on big plays, and the Giants were, like, able to avoid big plays happening against them. But the Giants suck really bad. I like Perine. I would even suggest a full onslaught here. I'd suggest going Cousins, Perine, Vernon Davis, and one of Crowder or Doxton, considering they're the only healthy wide receivers on that team. It's all about volume here. I think the Giants suck. I think this game can go all the way off. On the other side, never play Eli Manning because he's Eli Manning. It's like I know that it's a 3-game slate, but you couldn't pay me to play Eli Manning. Like, you couldn't give me $100 to play Eli Manning because I'd be embarrassed if somebody saw my lineup somewhere in the tournament. I'd
say is at $5,100, there's not enough high-priced guys on this slate to warrant going that low.
Nope.
That too. I don't know. I understand that on a 3-game slate, like, do your thing. You got to be different somewhere, but I think I'd rather just be different, like playing a stupid roster construction rather than a stupid player, if that makes sense.
Makes a ton of sense. All right, yeah, I'm with you. If I'm playing anybody in the Giants, it's Darkwa, 4,600 to be, because no one, like you mentioned, who wants to play the Giants? But Darkwa, he's going to get the touches, and Ingram at 6,100 against the Washington defense, I don't hate. But yeah, Cousins, I love Perine. That's the guy that I know Bucks will back this up. This is who they thought they had the whole season. He just never got the chance. This is the talented guy they have. So he should get a heavy workload. Crowder's been turning it on, but I like Doxson at 4,700. He's been seeing his targets go up 8, 16, 16, 22% of the targets the last 4 weeks. So it keeps going up weekly. So I like that a lot at 4,700. And then Vernon Davis, it's crazy his price tag's up to 5,500, but it's a phenomenal spot against the Giants and the tight ends. We know how that story goes. Kelsey didn't score, but he still had like 8 for 109, which I'll take almost 19 points all day long. So, yeah, Cousins, Perine, Doxson, Davis for me. I don't mind Crowder if you want to get really deep into it, but definitely all in play on this slate. Let's do a couple quick things position by position, and then we'll finish this off. We'll go around the horn. Bucks, who is your top quarterback overall on the slate, and who would be your top value you're going to play?
Top quarterback, Cousins. Top value, Case Keenum.
What about you, James?
I think for me, top quarterback is going to be Cousins, and top value, Keenum. Same.
I'll go Cousins, and if I can go 6K, I'll go Stafford. If not, it would be Keenum, but I like Stafford at 6K. If I'm going to pay in the middle to below there. What is your top running back and top value running back, Bucks?
Top running back is obviously going to be Gordon, and value is going to be Alf.
Oh, okay. What about you, James?
Top running back for me is Gordon. Top value is actually Smush Perrine.
Yeah, I'm with you with Gordon and Perrine. Those are the two I really, really like. The more I've looked into stuff today from the last weeks, I do like Latavius Murray quite a bit this week. Top wide receiver, top value wide receiver, Bucks.
Top wide receiver is going to be Diggs. Value wide receiver is likely going to be, if Benjamin's out, Mike Williams at 3,100, but if not, then Dotson at 47.
Yeah, I like that a lot. What about you, James?
My top wide receiver is going to be Diggs. I agree with that. But then my value wide receiver is going to be a Chargers wide receiver that is not Mike Williams. It is Terrell the Gazelle Williams.
There you go. My top will be Keenan Allen, and my value will be Josh Doxson. Real quick on the wide receiver position, in the game you're mentioning slot receivers and all that. Galladay's getting healthier and healthier. Do you have any desire at $3,800?
Yeah, I mean, the only thing that concerns me about him is even though he's getting healthy, he's not getting any targets.
Yeah, he's got 3 each of the last 2 weeks. So, yeah, not much.
I mean, if he was getting more targets, I'd be inclined. But, this could be that week. I mean, it's Thanksgiving.
Mm-hmm.
They're probably going to avoid some of the other Vikings secondary, and so never know.
Okay. Top tight end value play for you, Bucks.
Top tight end play is going to be Evan Ingram. And I know this is like just taking the top price guy. But as far as a value play, I think that Kyle Rudolph at 4,100 is stupid cheap.
It is really cheap. What about you, James?
My top tight end is going to be Vernon Davis, 5,500. And then my favorite cheap one. It's hard because I really hate tight end on this slate. Like this
you got
like
one option.
Yeah, it's bad.
Yeah, I'll say, man, I'm gonna say Kyle Rudolph. I guess 4,100. Detroit is probably I think the worst team on this slate against tight ends other than the Giants.
Okay, I'm going Vernon Davis, and then I'm going Eric Ebron at 3,100. Last but not least, just one defense. If you had to play just one defense, which defense are you playing this week, Bucks?
The Redskins.
Okay, what about you, James?
I'm playing the Chargers, man. Definitely.
Yeah, it's the Chargers for me. But if you don't get it, don't sleep on the Lions. But yeah, Chargers. Chargers all day long. Yes. Well, there you go. 3-game Thanksgiving slate. Any final words, gentlemen?
Yeah, do not be afraid to mix it up, but also do not play any value in entry fees that you're not comfortable with. Remember, you're going to be with family this Thursday. You don't want to be salty if something doesn't go your way. So have fun with it. Mix it up.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard to sweat it out when you're with family. What about you, James?
Just have fun with it, man. This is meant to be a fun slate that they do every year. Thursday, it's meant to just be something you enjoy. Don't play with too much money. Things can go weird, and just kind of enjoy time with your family and just make something fun.
Yeah, I'm with you guys. Build your lineups, put them away, enjoy your family time. We'll be recording the rest of the week on Wednesday as usual, so you'll get the full slate then. But it's just to get to wet your beak, as they say, going into the week. So as always, you can find Bucks on Twitter at BPSnow11. James is at Pater_DFS, and I am at BDintric. We'll catch you guys next time.